It's showtime.
What's up, good people? And welcome to the Frank Harris Show, the biggest, the baddest, and the best show on earth. And we got my guy, Dominican E, in the building. Yo, E, what's the
What's
words,
up, Frank?
man?
What's up, Frank? What's up? A lot of interesting games. A
Oh,
lot of
okay.
interesting games.
Yeah, E. So we gonna get into the slate of football games that we saw yesterday. Interesting things going on in the NFL. Surprise teams on both sides, teams that we expected to be better, teams worse. And then E, I want to ask you this question before we talk about the NBA. You ready to go, E? We're gonna kick this off right here. Controversial, but is Caitlin Clark right now the second best player in the WNBA? She can't be first because Asia Wilson is by far the best player in the WNBA. I think this year, first player to ever score 1,000 points in a season, right, E? She's averaging, I think, 27, and 12. I think in the history of the WNBA, she's 4 points ahead of any player in the history of the WNBA in terms of points per game average, 4 or 5 points. So Asia Wilson's clearly the best player in the WNBA, should be the unanimous MVP. That being said, Caitlin Clark, Rookie of the Year, right?
Yes.
Her team, I believe, is 4 right now, or 5 in, no, not 4 or 5, but maybe 6 in the playoff race. 6. I meant to say playoff race. Is she the second best player in the WNBA? E?
That's a tough one.
Caitlin Clark.
No, I'm not going to give it to her just yet because I still believe Stewie, Rihanna Stewart, is the second best player in the NBA. They got the best record right now in the WNBA. I believe they're like 32-7. I think they lost like 7 games. Let me check real quick. I don't want to get misquoted.
Yeah, 31-70.
31-7.
31-7.
31.
They are in first place. You're right.
Yes.
They're in first place by a few games for sure. Best team in the WNBA. You can argue. I still think it's going the championship. All roads go through Las Vegas because they've continued to win.
Oh yeah.
You know it's hard to keep repeating.
Yes.
So you say E. So you say Stewart is the second best in the NBA, and then do you say Caitlin Clark is third then?
Oh, that's man. I mean, there's so many good players out there. I mean, you got the girl from Minnesota who's having a phenomenal year.
So E, let me name some players. So I think, and I'm gonna be bold and say Caitlin Clark, I think is going to be the MVP next year.
Okay.
Let me be clear.
Okay, next year, okay.
The MVP next year.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know that I'm willing to concede that she's the second best player in the WNBA yet, because she hasn't accomplished anything yet, right? 6 seed, you got to get into the playoffs. You got to see, right? You look at players like Brianna Stewart, like you say, very accomplished WNBA player. I'm not willing to say that she's ahead of her yet, okay? Even a player like Alyssa Thomas, who plays in Connecticut for the Connecticut Sun, very good player too, okay? Dominant player, triple-double threat every time she steps on the court. And then E, there are a lot of other players as well, E, WNBA players like Jonquel Jones, the big girl that plays for the Liberty, who's good. Ionescu is still a pretty good player. And then you have other players on the Vegas team that are good too, right? Kelsey Plum is very good.
Yes.
And so is, I think her name is Jackie Butler, I believe her name is. She's very good as well. So I'm not sure I'm willing to go E that Caitlin Clark is 2, right? But what she's done when they've come back from the break for a rookie has been remarkable. Caitlin Clark.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you agree on that?
For sure.
Right. What she's done.
What she's done.
E, I got a question.
Of course.
Right.
Gotta get.
Yeah, the girl's name is Jackie Young. It's who I meant. Jackie Young for Las Vegas. Nafisha Collier is another good player for Minnesota. She's having a great year too. So again, Caitlin Clark, phenomenal year. I'm not ready to say she's second best in the WNBA yet, but next year I'm predicting she'll be the MVP. But Asia Wilson is hands down the best player in the WNBA. Would you agree on that, E?
Yes. Yes, yeah, Asia Wilson is definitely. And what she's accomplished so far in the WNBA, she's definitely hands down the best player in the WNBA. Definitely.
But with Caitlin Clark,
Caitlin
Clark win is Caitlin Clark the MVP? Is Caitlin Clark MVP candidate for next year?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure, yeah, for sure. She got one season in, and what she's doing right down this stretch right now after the All Star break, that's going to carry on to next year. She's definitely going to be a contender for the MVP next year. That's a no brainer. Definitely MVP for next.
Right. Okay.
Definitely.
Switching gears.
Yes.
Candidate, right? I mean, Asia Wilson's still in the WNBA, obviously, so it's going to be tough, but definitely a candidate. All right, let's switch gears. Football is here, week 2 of the season. A lot to talk about. All right, I think let's go first things first, okay? The Bills beat Miami, right? Surprising how emphatically they beat them. I believe it was in Miami as well. And we got the Tua concussion issue, okay? The Tua concussion issue, right? So Tua's had a lot of severe concussions, 2 that were really alarming last year, obviously. I believe he's at 4 in his career, 4 or 5 now, Eric, if you go back to college. And a lot of people are saying that he should absolutely retire from football. What do you think, E, about Tua in football?
Oh, that's a tough one. These guys. Some of these got a lot of these athletes really love the game, and it's hard to, once the game is taken away from them, for them to adjust. After football, that's a tough one. I think he should retire. I mean, there's a lot of guys that retired early. Look at the quarterback that was with the Colts. What's his name? I'm not good with names. He retired early.
Andrew Luck?
Andrew
Luck?
Luck. Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, you mean?
You look at guys that retired
Right.
early. Yes, Andrew Luck. You look at the linebacker from Charlotte. He retired early. So there's a lot of guys that retire early, due to injuries, due to concussions. I think he should take the money and just, ride off to the sunset and go to Hawaii, and coach youth football or something like that. I mean, it's tough.
And by the way,
think,
he would get. And if you retire on a medical leave, he would get over 100 million. I believe it is. I think it's like 103 million or something like that. So let me say this. So first of all, he's not going to retire voluntarily. Whether you say he should or shouldn't, I hear you. There's no chance he's going to retire voluntarily right now, right? It's going to have to be a medical decision, right? You got to go to the neurologist. You have all these great doctors now, so much advanced technology in medicine, et cetera, that ultimately I think it's a medical issue, a doctor's issue, a neurologist issue. If the neurologist says that he's still capable of playing, I think he's going to play. I think there's no chance that he's retiring unless the neurologist tells him that he has to stop. Right? So Tua's playing.
Yes.
Tua's playing. So I think, ultimately it is what it is. I think he'll keep playing, and we have to pray for him and hope the best. That's what we have to do. Pray for him and hope the best, because he ain't gonna stop. Tua's playing.
Ooh, that's tough.
Right?
That's tough.
So E.
Yes.
Next, you ready? My
Yes.
Cowboys against the Saints. Tough game, 44-19. Oh my goodness, we look terrible out there. I'm a diehard Cowboy fan, but I don't believe he can win a Super Bowl because of Dak Prescott. Right? But listen, and the Saints played well last week too, right? So the Saints had 2 straight weeks. Underrated team, right? But here we go again with the Cowboys. Here we go again. But it's early, E. Let me not say here we go again. We're 2 games in. I didn't expect the Cowboys to go 17-0. So realistically, we lost the game, albeit at home, which is terrible. It is what it is. We got to, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep going.
But there was a lot of surprising teams that lost yesterday. I mean, there was a lot of, I think the 49ers lost, right? The 49ers lost, right? I mean, there's a lot of teams.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We're talking about the Cowboys. What do you think about the Cowboys?
Listen, it's a long season. Are you going to have some games where you lose games? Yes. So I'm not too worried about that loss. They're going to be able to bounce back. A veteran team, they're going to be able to bounce back. What I'm really concerned is, right, everybody talks about that defense. Michael Parsons, Diggs on the back end. Like, they scored 44 points on that defense. I mean, Kamara ran all over those guys. I think he ran for like 3 or 4 touchdowns on those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Four.
Yeah,
What do you have four in total?
yeah,
Ran
four
for
in
three,
total.
I think, and caught one.
Yeah, so they gotta strain that up in on the defensive side of the ball. Offense is gonna be fine. The defense is where I'm concerned that I think those guys need to get that together. You know what I'm saying? Fix a few things there. You know what I'm saying? Because 44 points on that defense, supposedly a top tier defense, that's too many points for a team like.
So Kamara had the game of his life. Underrated player, I think. I think Kamara's great, right? Coming out the backfield, catches the football,
Yeah,
runs well.
very
So
good.
anyway, long season, right? We got 15 more games. We lost. We 1-1 right now. Let's not over exaggerate.
Yes.
Okay. Now, one of the surprise teams of the year, Buccaneers beat the Lions. Right. So the Lions are a sexy pick. A lot of people think the Lions are going to the Super Bowl this year. Dan Campbell, great job with the culture, etc. But whoa, what about the Buccaneers, right? 2-0 start. And Baker Mayfield is like an MVP candidate right now. I mean, you look at Baker Mayfield, it's like, by the way, let me say this. That quarterback class, sometimes it takes a few years for quarterbacks to develop, right? And in this rush to get quarterbacks in early when you draft them early, sometimes guys falter. But if you look at that quarterback class right now, look at this. Sam Darnold's playing well. I believe Sam Darnold was in that class too, wasn't he? Is Baker Mayfield was one in that class. Sam Darnold was an early pick to the Jets, right? And he's bounced around
Yeah.
now, and he looks like he's playing fantastic with the Vikings. And then Lamar obviously is Lamar doing the things that he's doing. Rosen, what's the other quarterback? Rosen, where you at,
Oh
Rosen?
yeah, yeah,
Rosen, the UCLA
yeah.
quarterback. Maybe somebody needs to go sign him up because that quarterback class is playing better now.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about that game? The Lions
Surprising
losing
loss. Surprising
to
loss.
the Bucks.
Detroit at home. I didn't think Detroit would lose at home to the Buccaneers. Kudos to Bayfield, Baker Bayfield. Kudos to him. I'd be botching these names up. God damn. Well, kudos to him. For going out there and performing in Detroit. I think Detroit is the better team, but Tampa Bay came in there, winning their first game, came in there with confidence, and stealing one in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, look, they made the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's funny, Baker got a new mediocre deal. He's looking around, looking at all these guys getting 250 and 270 million. But we'll see. But anyway, Bucks are doing well. Another surprise, right? Packers, they beat the Indianapolis Colts. A surprise because obviously Jordan Love is hurt. Malik Willis came in, right? Liberty quarterback, was drafted in the third round, I believe it was, by the Titans, traded, right, during the offseason to Green Bay, and he got him a win, which you need, Eric. Sometimes your star got hurt, Jordan Love got hurt, MCL issue. You need guys to step up, and you got to try to find a way to win games when your players get
Yeah,
hurt. And that's what happened,
yeah.
right? Tough game. You know, Indianapolis not the best team in the world, but still to go get a win against a good, solid, not good, but a solid NFL team without your star quarterback is big, right? This is how you win championships and how you win, you know, division championships, conference championships. You got to find ways to win games like that. So shout out to Willis and shout out to the Green Bay
Frank, hold on.
Packers.
When are we gonna get to your Baltimore Ravens and the great Lamar Jackson starting off 0-2? Come on, Frank. Come on now. Hope that's your next. I hope that's the
But
next one.
Right, you're the most impatient guy in the world. Will you let me read the games
I'm
off,
just saying.
please? Right, you keep jumping the gun in all these games. I
I'm
got
just saying.
my list of how we gonna read them.
All right,
Right,
come on.
we got Jets Titans. We got Jets Titans. So Aaron Rodgers got the W.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Jets are going to be able to win some games. Alone on the defensive side of the ball, they got great defense, and Aaron Rodgers is still a capable quarterback. So he's going to make some throws. He's going to win you some games. So everybody's panicking, yeah, the age and all that stuff. But I think they're going to be able to win some games. I don't know what their record is going to turn out to be, but I know he's going to win you some games. Just Aaron Rodgers alone can win you some games, and they got a stellar defense. So, hey, Jets fans, calm down. It's week 2. Everything's going to be all right.
What I don't know about them having a stellar defense, but Will Levi,
They got a
right,
stellar
maybe
defense,
the
man.
worst
Come on, they
quarterback
got a stellar.
besides Bryce Young. They maybe Will Levi, maybe the Levi's maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL with the Titans, right? And you just won by a touchdown, I believe the score was. Rodgers played okay. The Jets are going nowhere. The Jets are the most overrated team in the NFL,
Frank, so what?
right? I'm gonna be
So
clear.
they don't got a stellar defense.
Overrated. I mean, they're okay. All these stellar, like the Cowboys had a stellar defense and gave up 44 points. That's what we're talking about last week. Mike Zimmer, Micah Parsons, 44 points. All this stellar defense garbage. The Jets just got shellacked last week by the San Francisco 49ers. When you talk about having a stellar defense, it got to translate on the field. No, they don't have a stellar defense to translate. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens this year. Forget about what happened last year. Did their defense play well last year?
This is Aaron Rodgers. He didn't play last year. First game last week didn't play well. This way he played okay. With that defense, Sauce and all those guys running around making plays, they're gonna be all right. I don't know what their record is gonna turn out to be, but I know they're gonna be able to win some games. Jets fans, let's pause real quick. They're gonna be all right.
Yeah, overrated team. They won't make the playoffs this year. Watch.
Okay.
Anyway, overrated team. Most overrated team in the NFL. Besides, I want to say besides my Cowboys, because hopefully my Cowboys will do better than the Jets this year. We'll be in the playoffs for sure.
Right. Okay.
So okay. Now, to me, the biggest upset of the day was the 49ers losing to the Vikings, right? With Sam Darnold throwing a 97-yard dart right to Justin Jefferson. What an incredible play. What an incredible pass. Darnold looked great yesterday, and they lost their starting quarterback too, right? They lost, first of all, Kirk Cousins signed with the Falcons, who's, by the way, he's been terrible so far, and they'll play tonight. But Kirk Cousins left, and then they drafted J.J. McCarthy, your guy from Michigan, right? And he got hurt, okay? And the Vikings are 2-0 with Sam Darnold. And they beat this super ballyhoo talked about San Francisco team. Talk to me, E. That's the biggest upset in all of what we saw yesterday, to me.
Listen, the 49ers they're gonna be just fine, Frank. Like I said, it's early, it's week 2. Everybody just gets caught up on, you lose a game here and there. Pause for a little bit. Let's regroup. Let's get everything in order. McCarthy will be back soon, right?
No, he won't.
He'll be back.
And his name is not McCarthy. His name is McAfee. Here you go with the names again, bro.
I'll be butchering these names.
Come on, dog. How can you call yourself a football aficionado and you don't even know the name of maybe the best player in the game? That's like calling LeBron. By the way, that's like calling LeBron James LeWan.
Frank, I'll be butchering these names. Come on, but listen, once they get him back, everything else falls in play. Mike Shanahan is a great offensive.
Just so you know, right? They put him on an injured reserve list where he's going to miss at least 4 games.
That's fine. That's fine. That's okay.
Well, at least 4. It could be 6.
That's okay, Frank.
It could be 8.
It's a long season, Frank. It's a long season.
I'm with you on that, right? But last week y'all was talking about how this new running back was the best thing since sliced bread, right? And now all of a sudden you lose to a Vikings team that's not particularly great on paper on defense, right? And Sam Darnold was the quarterback. So anyway, it's early. I agree it's early.
You yourself said guys got to step up and fill in, right, and play a major role. So some of these guys, the running back, come in, play a major role until these guys get healthy, and then that machine is going to start rolling. Once they get everything in sync, they're going to start rolling again. It takes time. It takes time.
You better hope. You better hope though you're not 2-4 when that happens. I'm just saying.
No, they won't be 2-4. They'll be
able to
win some games, Frank. They'll be able to win some.
So the next 2 games I got on paper, I almost don't even want to talk about, right? We got the Seahawks and the Patriots. By the way, the Seahawks, I don't know how they're figuring out ways to win, right? Shout out to them. They figure out ways. I think the defensive coordinator, I believe it was, from the Ravens last year is the head coach there. They figuring it out, right? Geno Smith, they eking games out. Good win for them, 23-20. Shout out to the Patriots, too. Mayo has them competing, right? They were getting smacked last year. With Bill Belichick's last year. So anyway, I don't want to go too much into that game. I don't know if you want to just add something quick.
No,
but
some of these games, come on, Frank. Some of these games.
Right. Giants Commanders, another one, E. Giants Commanders, E. Can you imagine the Giants scored 3 touchdowns, I believe it was, I think, E, 2 and still lost the game. And the other team didn't score 1 offensive touchdown.
Wow.
All field goals, the Commanders. And the Giants lost. That coach is fired, right? That GM should be fired. That crew got to go, right? And Daniel Jones should be cut.
Well, they ain't gonna cut Daniel Jones. They pay too much money for him.
They're gonna have to cut. They have to cut. But we'll see. But anyway,
Frank,
terrible.
they're not gonna cut a guy that just paid all that money. Come on, Frank. Let's be realistic. They're not gonna cut a guy. He's their franchise guy. They ain't gonna
What
cut
do
him.
you mean? So are you gonna make him your backup? At some point, you got to cut. He takes the guaranteed money. You don't keep paying him salary unless you just restructure. He ain't the answer. They're gonna have to draft a quarterback this year.
Yo,
So if you saying not
he's
cut him,
definitely not the answer. But you don't cut a guy, Frank, that
right?
paid all that money.
So do you pay him all of that money to be a backup? You don't.
No, of course.
So you either cut him or you trade him. You cut him or you trade him. There's no way he's your answer. The Giants will be drafting a quarterback. They may be trying to draft your boy Bum Shador Sanders. No, he's not a bum. He's a decent player. But anyway, they need a quarterback. So we'll see what happens to Daniel Jones. If they don't cut him, they'll trade him. They'll get rid of him. Something will happen. But anyway, I don't want to talk too much about that game. Chargers, Panthers, same thing. Typical Jim Harbaugh, right there, 2-0. What he does is turns programs around. Yeah. He's done it everywhere. Yeah, did it with the 49ers. Did it with the Michigan Wolverines. You gotta give a shout out. Right, this is what he does. And by the way, they have him running the football. And let me tell you what's ironic, okay? J.K. Dobbins was the running back for the Ravens. He was really good, Ohio State running back, okay? He got hurt. The Ravens forgot about him. They went and got Henry from the Titans, who was supposed to be the workhorse, the great guy. And right now, J.K. Dobbins looks like one of the best running backs in the NFL, playing for Jim Harbaugh. Shout out to him. Shout out to that team. And breaking news. Bryce Young will be benched. By the way, I told you a couple of shows ago that he will be the worst number one pick in the history of the NFL. Told you that. Now he's benched. And by the way, he
won't be the worst number one pick. He's a young quarterback. He gotta find a system, offensive coordinator that fits to his strengths.
By the way, number one.
Frank, don't do that.
Well, Canels is supposed to be the guy. The guy that he got was supposed to be the guy when they made him the head coach. One of those young super guru minds.
Guys, man, Frank, you be killing these young guys. These young guys,
Eric, a 5'11".
You cannot throw these young quarterbacks in there. They have to sit behind veteran quarterbacks, learn, and then you throw them out there. That was the old way of doing things. Now they're so rushed to just put quarterbacks in there, and then when they start losing, he's a bum. No, give these guys some guidance. Put them around, a backup quarterback that can guide him, that can lead him. Then you're gonna start seeing results. You just can't throw these quarterbacks in there and expect them to,
Eric, he's terrible.
Don't do that, Frank. Don't do that.
Eric, he's terrible.
Frank, don't do that, Frank. Don't be killing these young players. Give these guys some time, Frank. Give these guys some time.
Okay, so I asked this question.
Damn,
right?
Frank,
you say I'm killing young players. Hold on, you say I'm killing young players, right? Everybody who drafts rookies plays them now. This is how it goes. And some sink and some swim. He's drowning.
Frank, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that you throw these.
You might not believe in it, but this is the way of the NFL. Everybody does that.
Cool. And we see the results. We got guys like you saying they bums. No, you get these.
Eric, Bryce Young is he's 2 years in now. He's not a rookie, bro.
I understand that.
He's horrible.
Frank, you got to give these guys some time, Frank. Give these guys some time. This is the problem with guys like you. You rush to throw these quarterbacks in there, and then when they don't perform, he's a bum.
Well, hold on, guys like me, I didn't rush to throw him in there. That's just with NFL team. I didn't say rush to throw him in there. But Eric, let me just say this: minus the performance on the field, Eric. There's certain metrics that you need to be an NFL quarterback.
I agree with
you. The guy's 5'11".
I agree with you.
Hold on, Eric. Hold on. He's 5'11", and he's probably 175 to 180 pounds. Okay, he's 5'11", and he's 180 pounds. He's the size of a high school quarterback, Eric. He's just too little, dogs. He doesn't have forget about football. Well, you can't forget about performance. But Eric, he's just not physically there for NFL quarterback. He's just too.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, Frank. I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
Right. So therefore, you can give him. I don't know who you're going to surround him with, unless you're going to bring it. Andy Reid ain't coming through that door.
He's a little
to be his offensive coordinator.
Quarterback. I agree with you on that. Listen,
he's not little. He's tiny, and he's physically small. Eric, he's fragile as well.
Frank, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. All I'm saying is the old way of doing things seemed to work to me. Where you get
What do you mean? Why? What? Maybe, maybe
Frank,
not. Yes and
Frank,
no.
you cannot just throw these guys. It's a big learning curve from the college football to the NFL. The game is
But Eric, he's in year 2 now. He's not a rookie now.
okay. So
In year 2,
year two,
you got to start showing me something. Last year, he wasn't there.
okay.
He played last year. Now year 2, Eric, he's not new anymore.
I understand that, Frank.
And by the way,
It's week two.
can I ask you a
It's week
question?
two. It's week
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What was CJ Stroud, excuse me?
Oh no, but come on.
A rookie.
Yes.
A rookie.
Yes.
Okay. That's what teams do. When they draft rookies like that, they play him. This guy, and by the way, hold on. And part of what you went to Modern Day for high school, number 1 high school player in the country, so he played the highest level of high school football. Then he went to Alabama, right? National championship, Heisman guy.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, if anybody's ready to step in with that level of experience and where he played, it's supposed to be him. He's the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. And he's getting benched. And by the way, he's getting benched. So when you bench your franchise quarterback, and they gave up all of those picks. Remember, they traded up in the draft to get him, Eric.
Yeah.
You give up all of those picks. Hold on, right? You give up all of those picks. You get a guy. It's hard to go back to a second-year quarterback, franchise quarterback that you bench. It's hard to go back. You know that. So unless he's going to part ways with the Panthers, and by the way, on top of all of that, he's with a moribund organization. Terrible organization.
Yeah, terrible. Listen, young fella.
But so you got terrible organization, terrible player, right? Combination wise, the guy's not an NFL quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's a backup quarterback, and he will be the worst pick in the history of the NFL. The worst number 1 pick, when it's said and done, is going to be Bryce Young.
No,
I hate to say it.
I won't say that, Frank. Listen, young fella.
Well,
Get yourself in a weight room. Get yourself in a playbook. You know what I'm saying? This is the time now where you can have some time now to really, really get into the playbook, study defenses, and bounce back. I believe in you, man. Come on, young fella.
Well, I don't. I'm a realist. Yo, next, we got Browns Jaguars. By the way, when is your boy Trevor Lawrence going to ever deliver? Browns Jaguars. Browns win. Watson gets a W. Still looked very mediocre. Terrible, ugly game. Trevor Lawrence ain't the guy. He just got $275 million, not all of it guaranteed, but that's the guy you talking about. He can spend that thing, Paul.
Frank, again, here we go.
That's your guy. When does he deliver?
Again. I'm gonna call you. Frank. I'm gonna call you. You be bashing these young guys, man. Come on, Frank. You be bashing these young guys. Trevor Lawrence, you another one. Trevor Lawrence. Hey, Trevor Lawrence. They paid you all that money. It's time to produce, Trevor Lawrence. You know you're one of my guys, Trevor Lawrence. It's time for you to start producing. They paid you all that money. It's time to start, showing some of that production on the field, Trevor Lawrence. Let's go. It's week 2.
So, by the way, 2 more guys that are overrated. Watson wasn't overrated. Watson had a great bang to his career early on until he got to the tailspin, right? Like I have my opinion about what happened with the Texans, right? And that's for another conversation. Yeah. I have my opinion. I think the Texans have sabotaged that guy, and he hasn't been able to mentally come back from it personally. But anyway, it is what it is. He's done, in my opinion. He will never be the player that he was. And Trevor Lawrence was never the player that you thought he was and that everybody thought he was when they gave him that money. He ain't never winning with the Jaguars. There's a bank. I forgot what the name of the bank. That bank, the stadium's named after that bank. And for game 1, they changed the name to Trev whatever bank, right? They put his name on the stadium, okay, for game 1 at home yesterday. And what did he do? Lay an egg. Womp, 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 womp. Your boy. Next game. Now, I know you want to talk about this game, okay? Let's talk about it. Raiders, Ravens. Raiders, Ravens, right? So both of my teams lost yesterday. My Cowboys lost and my Ravens lost. I'm concerned about my Ravens. I am, right? Because, the balance between Derrick Henry giving him enough touches and still allowing Lamar to be Lamar is tough. And I think they're figuring that out, number 1. But number 2, we can't lose a game like that. The Raiders, Gardner Minshew, right? Minshew magic. It's unbelievable how Gardner Minshew always figures out a way to win some games. Minshew magic. The guy figures out a way to do it. But listen, let me say this. Shout out to Antonio Reese, Antonio Pierce, excuse me. Even though Antonio Pierce got Arizona State on probation when Herm Edwards was the coach and he was cheating, right? Got Arizona State on probation. He's gone to the NFL. And by the way, kudos to him. He got that job, right? He was a coordinator. They fired the head coach. The players rallied around him. He got that job, and he's shown that he deserved the job thus far. So shout out to Antonio Pierce. Good win for him. Ravens, I'm a little concerned.
Yes.
0-2 Eric is not good for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, especially if you're trying to keep pace to get a home game in a conference championship. That means you have to have a better record, Eric, because you lost the head-to-head against the Chiefs.
Yes.
So you lost the head-to-head against the Chiefs. So you got to have a better record than the Chiefs. You can't. These are the games you got to win. You can't let games like this slip away. But I said this to you, Eric, last week, and you know I love Lamar. He's my favorite player in the NFL, but he didn't make the plays last week, and I said that, okay?
Yes.
And Lamar's quarterback play, once again, is subpar. It's not what we expect from the MVP.
Yes.
Two-time MVP.
Yes.
And defending MVP. It's not what we expect. I called a spade last week when I said he wasn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. Is that fair?
That's fair. At least you're doing that.
Okay.
At least you're doing that.
I keep it real. I keep it real when I talk about my Cowboys and Dak. I'm gonna keep it real with whoever it is.
Okay.
Lamar ain't doing what he got to do,
Yeah.
right? As tight as it is to win in that league, obviously in the AFC, right? You have to win games like this. These are games you got to put in the W column.
Yes, you got to be able to put up wins, especially right when you got to go play Pittsburgh now. You got to go play the Bengals in that tough AFC Central. You know, that's a tough conference, right? You know, Cleveland is still pretty good with that defense. So you got to be able to put away games like that.
Well, that's their division, right? Their conference is the AFC. But I'm not worried about the division, right? I mean, we'll get to that in a minute. But
you got to be able to be in the top.
But I'm not worried about the division because Joe Burrow is 0-2 as well, which is always the case. But we'll get about that in a minute. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking very 500-ish, even though they're 2-0 with Justin Fields. So I'm not worried about the division. I'm worried about the conference. But anyway, next game.
You got to stack up wins, though, Frank. Especially, you know, you got to be able to stack up. Especially,
but you can still win that division because right now Joe Burrow is the other team in the division that you worry about, and they're 0-2 too.
Right, but you got Pittsburgh that's 2-0, and you know Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, but with no quarterback. Pittsburgh is beating teams with no offense, right? When Pittsburgh plays teams that have offense, they're gonna get destroyed. They can't score points. Not destroyed, right? Because their defense. That's a great defense, by the way. We talk about great defense. Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, those guys are great on defense. So how about this game? Okay, Rams Cardinals. How about Rams? By the way, your boy McVay is the most overrated coach. Well, let me not say overrated, okay? Because he got him a Super Bowl. But everybody's talking about wonder guy, wonder kid, wonder all of this, wonder. By the way, he should have retired. Remember, he was contemplating retirement. He was young. He talked about spending time with his family, right? He should have left when Aaron Donald left. The great Aaron Donald, who may be top 5 interior lineman in the history of the game. Could be number 1 when it's all said and done. The great Aaron Donald, right?
You making bold statements, Frank, like he could be the number 1 interior defense of all time? Wow.
Defensive lineman of all time, Aaron Donald. Yes, he could be that.
Wow.
He is that. I mean, he's a top 5 at a minimum. Could be the best.
Warren Sapp. I know we jumping all over.
Yes, better than Warren Sapp. Yes, absolutely better than Warren Sapp. Absolutely. Yes, and Sapp is great, by the way. But Sapp is not the best interior defensive player ever.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Donald can be that.
Frank, he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, there are a lot of interior defensive linemen that are Hall of Famers. Doesn't mean they're the best ever. So what? No one said he wasn't a Hall of Famer.
Defensive player.
He's a great player. He's a Hall of Famer. Doesn't mean he's the best ever because there's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that are not the best ever in their position.
Listen, he's one of the best.
What do you mean? He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, cool. Doesn't mean he's the best ever in his position.
He's one of the best. Come on, don't take that away from my man Sapp.
Who said he's not one of the best?
Okay, I'm just making.
I just said Aaron Donald's better.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm just want to make sure you said he's
still. So by the way, in that game in particular, we saw right the coming out of who has the potential to be the best wide receiver ever, maybe, right? I mean, it's hard to beat the great Jerry Rice. But Harrison's son, Marvin Harrison Jr., had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Kyler Murray looked like the MVP, right? And that young boy looked like the young superstar that everybody thought he was going to be coming out of Pittsburgh, I think, in high school, right? Coming out of Ohio, Pennsylvania, not Pittsburgh. He played for a team in Pennsylvania. Coming out of Ohio State, which is wide receiver well, them in LSU, but a lot of great wide receivers coming out of Ohio State. And now coming into the NFL with a lot of hype. He looked all real deal yesterday, Eric.
Yeah, good young player.
Right? He looked all real deal yesterday. So shout out to him. Kyler Murray looked fantastic. That's going to be a dangerous team, Eric. By the way, I'm going to make a prediction. Okay? I think that team may be in the playoffs this year. Nobody expects it.
Arizona?
Outside Arizona, they may get to the playoffs. If hold on, caveat, Murray has to stay healthy. If Murray's healthy, they may be a playoff team this year. And by the way, let me just say this, Steve. Okay? I got to call myself out because I call it a spade. I made maybe one of the worst predictions that I've ever made a few weeks back, and I made another great one too, though. Okay, the worst prediction I think I may have ever made live, Eric. You ready?
I'm listening.
I know you can't wait to hear this, right? Florida State had a chance, right, to be a dangerous team this year in college football.
Yes.
When I said Florida State they are atrocious, right? I'm doing an aside now talking about college. But the other thing I said was I thought the Florida coach was going to get fired early this year.
Yes.
Florida, right, the Gators.
Yes.
So he's on the way out, but Florida State is terrible. So I just had to say that live that was one of my worst predictions that I made. Now, let's talk about Steelers Broncos. Okay. First of all, I'm wishing nothing but bad right on the football field for Peyton. I want Peyton to lose so horribly that he gets fired after this year. Because the way he did, and by the way, I'm not, Russell Wilson is the biggest dork in the world to me. Let me be clear. I think he's the corniest guy in the history of cornball. Let me start by saying that. Okay? But he got a Super Bowl win. But he's the corniest of the cornballs. That being the case, okay? The way Sean Payton did him with the Broncos is crazy. So disrespectful to a legendary player who may be a Hall of Famer. He's on. Is he a Hall of Famer? And I think he may hurt his Hall of Fame case the longer he plays, right, Eric? Because he'll be playing worse and worse and worse. And then not only did he throw him under the bus. Remember, he threw the head coach under the bus, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Jets. He threw the GM under the bus. He threw the whole organization under the bus and talked about how bad everything was before he got there. Right? Horrible, horrible, horrible what he did to that organization. And I want him to lose at every chance that he can because that was disgraceful how he did that organization. And now he got what he wanted. He got Bo Nix, another rookie, right? And they're starting him, and he looks very pedestrian like a rookie. And everybody's talking about how Sean Payton is the whisperer, the quarterback whisperer, this whisperer, that whisperer. I hope they lose every game they play, Eric. And I'm so happy that the Pittsburgh Steelers got the win, and they gave Russell Wilson the petty ball, they call it. The petty ball, the game ball, right? When your team beats your former team.
Yes.
And so I'm so glad Justin Fields and them got that victory, and they were able to give the game ball to Russell Wilson. Shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to Mike Tomlin, who's my favorite coach in the NFL.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that game?
Listen, good for Russell Wilson going back and beating the Denver Broncos. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he didn't play, by the way. He didn't play, but
it's always
what they
good
want
to go back and beat your former team, and especially how guy, coach, did him in, talk so bad about him. It's always good. It's vindictive to go get a win, against a former team like that, the Denver Broncos, which he didn't have a great experience there. So shout out to the whole Pittsburgh organization, and for giving them the game ball. Shout out to them. Mike Tomlin is my guy, one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Hasn't had a losing
Great
Haven't
coach.
had a losing
Great. That's a great coach.
haven't had a losing season in 15 years now. Shout out to
Great
him.
coach.
You know,
Great coaching.
let's keep it going.
That's a
Let's
great
keep
coach.
it going, Pittsburgh.
Now, I'm going to tell you what the Pittsburgh issue is going to be, Eric. You ready? As good as, well, not as good as, right? I think they're going to have the same issue since Big Ben. They don't have a franchise quarterback, okay? And what's going to happen is they're going to try to make Fields into that, okay? So Wilson is not the long-term solution. Fields is. So that's why they brought in Wilson as a vet guy to come in for now, okay? And I think they thought Fields would be the long-term solution. He's not. You ain't winning a Super Bowl with Fields. You're not. He's ain't the long-term solution. So anyway, I think this is the issue. You know, Mike Tomlin is not going to win anymore until you get a franchise quarterback, and he doesn't have that with Fields. So anyway, next Bengals Chiefs.
Oh, this is one right here, Frank. This is one that bothers me a lot, Frank.
And buddy, you like Burrow too.
Oh, yeah, of course. I know I like it. Come on, Frank. We know that. The world knows that. Come on.
The world knows you. So your favorite three quarterback, just so I'm clear, and I'm sensing a pattern, right? Your favorite three quarterback is Josh Allen. Hold on. Trevor, what's his name? Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and then your third favorite is Burrow. And it's crazy that you want to do a segment on how there's 15 or 16 starting black quarterbacks in the NFL, and you don't like any of them. I digress. Let me let you finish. So let's talk about your boy Broadway Joe Burrow and them losing to Mahomes. And by the way, they played okay. First of all, Jamar Chase looks like he's frustrated because he didn't get paid. You saw he was berating the officials. Then Burrow kind of was not disrespectful, but he pushed him, and he was kind of like, bro, what you doing? Then he got him to the sidelines, and he threw his helmet, yelling at the coach. That money situation is getting to him.
Yes, yeah, I believe so. Listen, pay the man. The guy's
that got to him. Well, they didn't pay him. It's done now.
I mean, hopefully, he'll get his money. Get your money, young fella, soon. You know what I'm saying? Because every time
he deserves money. I don't think he should be the highest paid receiver in the NFL, right? But he deserves CD Lamb money.
Yeah, of course, he deserves that.
He deserves. But you know, it's ego because he thinks
he got 140,
136.
Oh yeah,
Justice ain't got 140.
He definitely should get about 130 around there. Come on,
yeah, he should have got CD Lamb money. But the problem is he want to get more than his boy. Because him and Justin Jefferson, remember, were teammates at LSU.
Listen, he's not going to get that. But
he's trying to beat his boy.
He's in that realm of 130. Listen, Amon St. Brown got 120. He got to get at least 130. Come on.
Listen, I said he should get 135, 136. He should get CD Lamb money. No doubt about it. So, he's a franchise guy. He's an elite wide receiver. He's shown that. And by the way, he's as good a receiver as there is after the catch.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Explosive after the catch.
He get them yak yards. He get them yak yards, Frank.
Yes, he does. But now, speaking along those lines, let's go back to this conversation about the Chiefs. The Chiefs, Eric, but they playing with fire.
They sure are.
Every game, they just barely won in the last minute. They're going to lose some of these games soon. But you know, Eric, the boy Mahomes, him and Kelsey, they did a PR tour this summer. They was at the U.S. Open. Kelsey was with Taylor Swift. They was having funny. They was having a lot of fun. And let me just say this. Mahomes' wife looked like she got every kind of face surgery she can get. They front row here. They front row at every game. Eric, their play has absolutely dropped off, right? The Mahomes that was in the book studying all the time ain't there no more, right?
Well, we don't
He's
know.
a celebrity
We don't know that, Frank. We don't know that.
He can't be at the facility studying because at the U.S. Open, or he might be at Wimbledon. You don't know where you might find him. You might find. Hey, listen, if you have a good event at the Heights next week,
Frank, when they have some downtime, they could go out and tour the city.
Same thing with. By the way, Kelsey ain't the same player. He running behind Taylor Swift in Europe. And by the way, like you say, Eric, they can do what they want to do. And they both, Kelsey's a Hall of Famer, one of the top 5 tight ends ever to play the game. Phenomenal player. That being the case, they look a little shaky. Yes. I'm not sure that they're going to win a Super Bowl this year. They look a little shaky. And by the way, like I said, let me just say this. Like I said, people can do whatever they want, what they want to do in their personal time. But it's some correlation between that personal time, right, and what's happening on the football field. They're 2-0, barely, but we'll see.
Let me say this, friend. Let me say this.
We'll say it.
Let me say this: Kansas City Chiefs, you're playing with fire. Number one, I just don't like the fact that. Listen, it was a great call by the official. I'm not taking that. It was good. It was a good call. It's a good call by the official. The pass interference call that led to the field goal to win the game.
That was a good
Okay,
call, Eric.
but
Good
listen,
call.
Frank, I hate it when officials make these calls to determine the outcome of games.
Right now, you're contradicting yourself. You said it's the right call, but then you don't want him to make it.
Call. I'm just saying.
So he had to make it.
Sometimes, Frank, you got to let the players determine the game. Was he early? Yes, he was early.
The players did determine the game. It's a pass interference. It's the right call.
Hold on. Listen, was he a little early? Yes. Man, there's so much holding in the NFL. There's so much hand playing with defensive backs and wide receivers and all that stuff going on throughout the game. Like those calls like that, you're supposed to not throw that flag. Let the players determine the game. It's the right call, but come on, don't throw that flag. Let the game be determined by the players. That's my only issue with some officiating when they determine the outcome of games. That's my out of bounds for the day. That's my out of bounds for the day. When the officials determine the outcome of games.
I'm confused. So the man had a competitor. So let me ask you a question. In a basketball game, a guy goes up, right? Last play of the game, guy goes up to shoot. A guy grabs his arm and pulls it down. It's an obvious foul, right? Are you supposed to say, official, swallow your whistle, right, and not call the obvious? You talking about holding? We don't see that on the field always. We clearly saw that guy was early, and he got a competitive.
Hold on. We saw it so slow motion and instant replay. That was like
what do you mean slow motion?
Full speed. Full speed. That's a bang bang. Eric, that's a bang bang play. Full speed.
It wasn't not bang bang, and the referee was right when they called it. The referee. Hold on, Eric. The referee didn't have to see it in slow motion. They saw it in real time because it was an obvious call. It was an obvious call. Bro, you can't contradict yourself and say it was the right call, but you can't call it. Because you know why? Because you're giving a guy that transgressed a competitive advantage. You can't let a guy... So Eric, if a guy's going to dunk the ball up and the guy grabs his arm and it's an obvious foul in a championship game, do you say let the foul go through and let the players determine the players...
It was an obvious foul, Frank.
Well, that was obvious. That was obvious.
Frank, I didn't see it that way. The players didn't see it that way. The Bengals players didn't see it that way. Joe Burrow put his hand up like we won the game. Then they threw the flag.
Eric, they're supposed to do all that kind of nonsense, Frank, right? Everybody knew that was a foul. That was an absolute pass interference. Eric, let me ask you a question.
Full speed.
Eric, can I ask you a question? Eric, was it pass interference?
Yeah, after you saw it in slow motion, yes.
Was it pass interference? Just answer that question, please.
Yes, they called it, Frank. What you want me to tell you? They called it.
No, I'm asking, but was it the right call?
It was the right call, Frank.
Okay, that's what I'm going to say. Now, let's go to our last game.
Right, cool.
All right? I mean, you're talking nonsense. Let me go to our last game, right? We had the Bears, versus the Texans. Two black quarterbacks, but I know you might not want to talk about that because you don't like black quarterbacks. So you want to go back and talk about Burrow, or you want to go back and talk about Josh Allen? You want to talk about one of those guys?
What's the last game, Frank? What's the last game?
The Texans versus the Bears. And by the way, two black quarterbacks. But like I said, you want to skip over that conversation?
Yeah, we could skip over that conversation. Not because
they're right,
but it's just too bad. I mean, the Texans.
Caleb Williams is struggling, right? That's the rookie conversation that you had. Okay, very talented guy. He's struggling, right? He's struggling. Excuse me. Caleb Williams is struggling.
Yes.
Played horrible yesterday. Played horrible. I think he threw for 98 yards game one. They won, even though he played terrible. He's horrible yesterday. And by the way, C.D. Stroud wasn't great yesterday either. Okay, but they pulled out a victory.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But two good quarterbacks. And by the way, Caleb Williams is the bootleg Patrick Mahomes. The problem with Caleb Williams sometimes he tries to make plays that he can't make yet, and he gets himself into peril and danger and throws the football away. So that's what happens from time to time. But anyway, that's kind of a snapshot of what we saw, um, this
Week
week
two, week two,
with
week two. Yeah.
the games. Snapshot. I feel like, Eric, it was a pretty good football week. We got Monday Night Football. We got Falcons, Eagles. Who you got in that game?
Falcons, Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles on this one.
Hey, E, I got a
I'm
question.
going Eagles
If
fly, Eagles fly.
if the quarterback in the Falcons for the Falcons, when do you go to Penix?
You don't go to Penix at all. What are you talking about?
Okay, I'm asking you if the Falcons are 2-6.
Nah, you don't go to Penix at all, Frank. Nah, you don't do that.
Even at 2-6.
No, you stick with your veteran quarterback. Let the guy learn.
If Kirk Cousins is 2-6, let's see what happens. Because the Falcons are going to be something like that.
Listen, the Falcons they're not expected to win anything, Frank. They're not. Those guys are not.
Well,
those guys are not guys you could say, okay, we're gonna make a run for the Super Bowl. Those guys right now, Kirk Cousins is there to mentor Penix. He's gonna learn, right? Maybe down the line, maybe week 12, you throw Penix in there. When the season is over, you know what I'm saying? You throw Penix in there. But right now,
well, you can't do that because if you throw him in there, that means Kirk Cousins is done for the following season. So whenever you go to Penix, Cousins is done. So you can't just throw him in there week 12. If you go to Penix, Cousins is done.
that's what I'm saying. Kirk Cousins is there to mentor this young fella. He's there to mentor him. You know what I'm saying? Guide him through the landscape of the NFL. Make sure.
And by the way, Kirk Cousins, it didn't come to be a mentor, right? Remember, and he was upset when they drafted him. So he ain't mentoring Penix, just so you know.
Listen, we don't know what goes on in the quarterback room. He's there.
Right. So you saying he's there to be a mentor? 100%.
Quarterback. That's what they do.
But guess what? He said it, and his agent said it. If we knew that they were going to draft a quarterback, we probably wouldn't have come here. So that's not a guy coming to mentor another guy to take his job. That's not a guy coming to do that.
Frank, most veteran quarterbacks, they embrace.
I don't know what that means. Not veteran quarterbacks who sign a big deal as a free agent trying to win.
They embrace the role of guiding these young rookies along, making sure they learn the landscape of the NFL.
Eric, how often? Just like Favre didn't remember. Favre wasn't trying to help.
Asshole, man. Favre's an asshole, man.
Here we go again. Eric, let me just say this. When guys come in usually, Eric, if there's a veteran quarterback who's on his way out, right, or teams take a journeyman, I agree with you. But Atlanta's big free agent signing was Kirk Cousins. Okay, they lured him away, and a lot of teams wanted him, and they lured him away under the premise that he would be starting and it'd be his team for the next few years.
Yes.
And then they drafted a quarterback. It's no way Cousins now is going to say, "Oh, okay, let me mentor this guy to have my job next year." That's a joke if you think that's the case.
Yes.
An absolute joke. So I hear you, bro. Anyway, all right, E, listen. Great recap, obviously. I'm looking forward to week 3. Go Cowboys. Go Ravens. And yeah, E, listen, this is the time. I know you like to shout out your family, your Dominican brothers and sisters that are out there in the marketplace doing well.
Yes.
So, do your thing, bro.
So I want to give a shout out to this boxer who won the bronze medal in the Olympics. He doesn't get a lot of recognition, a lot of, stuff going on, as far as the Dominican fans, stuff like that. The man went out there and won a bronze medal for the Dominican national team. It's hard for me to pronounce his Dominican, have weird names. His first name, maybe you can help me out, is spelled Yunior. How you pronounce that?
You don't want to speak Spanish, not me. What?
Frank, I don't. His last name is Reyes.
So how you gonna ask me how to pronounce a Dominican person's name and you speak Spanish?
I don't know how to pronounce his name, Frank.
Well, how do you spell it?
Yunior.
It's like Junior, right? But Junior, maybe it's like Junior, but it's Junior.
Well, his last name is
Junior.
Last name is
Junior. It sounds like Junior.
Like Yunior. Oh God. Listen.
What's his last name? Martinez.
Reyes. So
you pronounce that part?
I got it. Reyes. So I want to give out a shout out to Wnba Reyes, I guess how you pronounce his name. Won the bronze medal. You know, Madeline Paulina gets all the hoopla, all the credit because she brought home the gold. But this is a young man that,
Which she should, right? Because she brought home the
but still,
gold.
this
A
guy
bronze
went
is
out there. This
cute,
guy went
but
out
she
there.
brought home the
This guy
gold.
went out there and got a bronze medal. You know what I'm saying?
That's good. Shout out
Shout
to
out to
him.
him. So I want to give a shout out to that.
Shout out to the guy's name that you can't pronounce, Reyes.
Shout out to the young boy out there that won the bronze medal for the Dominican Republic. These Dominicans, I don't what the hell. Yeah, we're just gonna call him Junior, I guess. Junior Reyes.
Yes.
Shout out to him, man. De lo mío.
All right, E. Well, listen, man. We out, E.
Later.
All right, yo.
Later.